Hello, Superwomen, and welcome back to the Pleasure Principles podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jordin Wiggins, your guide to helping high achieving women like you be as badass in the bedroom and relationships as they are in business. I help successful women who feel unfulfilled and disconnected create more intimacy, joy, and pleasure in their personal lives. As the author of The Pink Canary, a naturopathic doctor, and a pleasure and intimacy coach, I know that the hustle culture has taught you that doing it all is the key to fulfillment, but it is draining your energy and killing your intimacy. My mission is to guide you down the pleasure path, reigniting your desire, reclaiming your feminine power, and helping you feel deeply supported, all while thriving in your career. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into a topic that resonates with every superwoman I've ever worked with. And these are the 5 super traits that make you very successful in your career, but leave you struggling when it comes to sex and intimacy. Let's be real. If you're a high achieving woman, you likely have a lot to feel grateful for. You have the success, the career, the home, you take the vacations, probably have a lot of hired help and support. You maybe even have the family you've always wanted. But when it comes to intimacy in your personal life, when it comes to feeling truly connected, desired, fulfilled, you feel like something's missing. And here's the kicker. This is not your fault. You are not broken. What you have been taught about relationships and intimacy is. In fact, the same traits that fuel your success at work are the ones keeping you stuck in relationships that feel like work, or worse, like you're doing everything alone. I talk to high achieving superwomen every single day for the last 10 years. And they feel alone, broken, frustrated. Some feel numb, some feel guilty with how they're showing up in their relationships or towards their kids. They just don't have the energy for social interactions. Like, no matter what, they could be on an amazing 5-star vacation and they're still not happy. I remember being on the Amalfi Coast, nothing to worry about. My business was running itself. And I remember looking around and thinking, like, I've wanted this for years. Why am I not happy? Why can't I let this in? So today we're going to explore those traits, unpack why they lead to struggles in intimacy, and start the conversation about what we can do to break the cycle. So these are the 5 super traits that make you a superwoman in business and bad in bed and relationships. And now I hear you. We don't like to be told we're bad at anything, because even though we like to say we're recovering perfectionists and we're working on it, superwomen like to be great. They like to do their best. They like to give so much. They bring so much to the table. And I want you to take a deep breath and listen. Really let this in, because our beliefs, what got you here, is not going to get you the relationship, the sex, and fulfillment that you want. At least not without struggle and hard work and strapping your dick on every day. We talk about that. We're like putting on our suits of armor to go into the boardroom or manage our teams. Like, we've gotten to where we've gotten to by being quite hyper masculine and by over giving. And usually the superwomen that come to me, they say, I know there's another way. I just need help. I just need a guide to show me, because what I've been trying to do is not working. So these super traits. I find as superwomen, we can often be called codependent. And I was defiant the first time I was called codependent because it didn't fit. It didn't fit with what I'd learned in medical school about codependency. And we're starting to update the definition of codependency. Terry Cole has some great work. She calls it high functioning codependency. And I think for super women like you, there's an element deeper. And these traits hit the nail on the head when it comes to intimacy and relationship. So Sandra Brown, this is her work. She called them super traits. And I've modified some of her work to speak to you directly. And super traits are a double edged sword for super women. They get us the success in the boardroom and career, and they leave us lonely and unfulfilled in the bedroom and our personal life. And it is the cognitive dissonance between the two that, like, I'm amazing at work. Look at all I have. Look at what I've built. Look at what I've created. So, how we've approached life, our world view is getting us so much success in the one area, but it is leaving us empty and unfulfilled in sex and intimacy. And I'm repeating myself, but you need to hear this over and over and over because if you want to relax, if you want to be able to let it all go, if you want to receive from those around you, this is what you need to be working on. This is what you need to be hearing. This is what you need to be understanding. So let's dive into the 5 traits that make superwomen successful in their careers and struggle in sex and intimacy. So the first is caring and compassionate. You are naturally empathetic, deeply attuned with the needs of others, really good at predicting what is going to go down and preventing it or modifying your behavior to make others around you feel comfortable. And we learn this from a very young age. Some of this is just societal conditioning, what it's like to be raised as a girl. Some of this is because you weren't loved the way you deserved to be. Maybe one of your parents had an addiction, somebody was absent, you probably had very little emotional support. Now, being empathetic, this makes you an incredible leader, friend, and partner. But in relationships, this makes you a magnet for partners that underfunction. So we have the superwoman. She's kind of like the steamroller. She's calling the shots. And she's like, I just want my man to step up. I want him to take over. I want him to take charge in bed. But what she doesn't realize is that if he does step up, then sometimes she's hypercritical, saying, criticizing how he did help, or she wants him to take the lead in the bedroom, but she's, no, not like that. And, has all of these criteria of I want it a certain way. So we call this topping from the bottom in power dynamics and BDSM and superwomen. We are great at topping from the bottom. We want to be led. We want to be properly fucked, but we don't know how to let a man lead. Restoring the power dynamics in a relationship is something that I do best. So, being empathetic makes you an incredible leader, but it makes you a magnet for people who underfunction, leaving you to pick up the slack. And over time, you're picking up more slack, more slack, more slack until you are doing it all. So, instead of a partnership, instead of a marriage where there is desire, there is an energetic distance to cross. You still are craving each other. You find yourself in a caregiver role, and that drains your energy and erodes your desire. The second trait that makes a superwoman successful in career, in struggle, in sex, and intimacy is being hardworking and resilient. Your grit and determination are unmatched. Like literally, when my clients leave a role or sell a business, they need to hire 2 to 3 people to replace my one client. And this has happened multiple times. You're the woman that says, if I just work hard enough, I can fix this. You will pour everything in to make a relationship work. You'll pour everything into your partner to make them better, the relationship to make it better. This is a problem for two reasons. Number one, what happens when your efforts are not reciprocated? When somebody is not pouring the same amount in? Resentment builds, you have the same arguments on repeat with no movement. You hear promises of change with their words, but there is no action. Resentment is building, and the sex is getting shittier and shittier. And the second reason why being hardworking and super resilient is bad for relationships, it is because for super women, and this is niche, okay? This is niche for us. This is why a lot of the relationship advice out there does not work for you because it doesn't address the power dynamics, the energetic dynamics, the psychology of a superwoman. By being so hardworking and so resilient, by making your own money. Most of you out earn your partners by like 4 or 5 times. Men do not feel needed. They do not feel significant. In our gender roles, in our reptilian brains, men protect and provide. But superwomen, unless we are intentional about how we are setting up our relationships, our men do not feel needed. And what do? They cheat. They cheat with a woman that makes them feel significant. They cheat with a woman who makes them feel needed, a woman who needs them. Okay. And I'm not saying that we need to be damsels in distress, but I am saying that if we are so hardworking, so resilient that we do not like that we do everything better and we know how to do it and we're thinking 10 steps ahead, like, why have a partner? There's no room energetically for a partner. Teaching superwomen to create space for that is something that I do. And watching the relationships dynamic heal is fascinating. The third trait that makes superwomen successful in their career and struggle in sex and intimacy is people pleasing. And this is an interesting one because sometimes you are not a people pleaser in your career at work anymore, but you definitely are when it comes to your personal relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, children. So you're a peacemaker. You're the one that smooths over the conflict, tries to make sure everyone is happy. And what is the cost? Pleasing others comes at the expense of your own needs, leaving you feeling unseen, unheard, unsupported, unfulfilled. And this is the opposite of good sex and great relationships because we go into it from the very beginning. I'm going to make them like me. I'm going to make myself so irreplaceable by giving them so much. Now, this is off from the start because men fall in love by giving to you, by protecting and providing, by giving to you. And even if they wanted to give to you at the beginning, these super traits are over functioning, eroded this. So they have stopped helping over time. Men give, women receive. Super women cannot receive because the pleasure centers in our brain are turned off. We are too busy doing for others, putting out fires, people pleasing. So our focus is external. So our pleasure centers turn off where we just can't be as happy as we used to be. The things that used to make us happy don't make us happy anymore. This is called anhedonia. I've written about this in The Pink Canary. This is going back to 2019. I've been saying the same thing, but we need to hear this because we forget. Even I forget sometimes. So our pleasure centers turn off. And then we start to lose our sense of self. We start to lose touch with that intuitive piece that will tell us what would make us happy. Things start to feel less pleasurable. Even touch feels less pleasurable when our pleasure centers are off. So, sex with pleasure centers are off, that's checkbox sex. That's we are doing the things in the same order. You can probably only even orgasm in the same position or with the same toy because that's how our brain has habituated. We need to do the work to turn our pleasure centers back on. And I'm going to tell you something. My clients, those that attend my retreats, they say, wow, this was like a year of therapy in one weekend. Or I've done personal development work, I've done therapy, I've done coaching, and I have never connected this many dots. I've never integrated this much as I have done with your work. And there is science behind this. It's something like, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's something like you need to do 400 repetitions of something before it becomes a pattern. When you do it with pleasure or play, you only need to do 30. So this isn't like magic. This is intentionally the way that I teach the actions that we take when we do it with pleasure, with joy, with play. The healing happens so much faster. The fourth trait that makes superwomen successful in their careers and struggle in sex and intimacy is being tolerant and patient. Superwomen, you can tolerate pain. You can tolerate being uncomfortable emotionally, physically, way better than most. But this means you stay in situations long past their expiration date, convincing yourself that things will get better. We do this in and out of the bedroom in personal relationships. Think of work situations. So we give chances, we give lots of chances. Our partners can give us the crumbs, the promises, the same excuses out of the patriarchy playbook. If you are not on my email list, you're going to want to get on my email list because we talk about these things in detail there. And we make excuses. We make excuses. Oh, they had a hard week or they're tired. So I'm not going to bring this up now. They have lots on their plate, or, oh, we'll do it after this reno is done, after this year. And we don't take up any space. We end up not existing in the relationship because our tolerance for discomfort is so much greater than our partner's tolerance for discomfort. And like we're back in that over functioning, under functioning dynamic where you have given all of your power to them and you are not taking up any space. Obviously, leading to you feeling unseen, unsupported, and like you have to lead. And the fifth trait that for superwomen, making them successful in their careers and struggle in sex and intimacy, is that we are so honest and we are so trusting. You believe the best in people and you expect the same in return. Unfortunately, this makes a lot of superwomen vulnerable to partners who take advantage of their trust over and over, leading us to feel betrayed and disconnected. There is lots of infidelity in superwoman relationships, and this can be on both sides. Superwoman's partner cheats on her with somebody that he can give to, not generally another superwoman, someone that makes him feel significant, like he matters. And we have the superwomen that are cheating, the superwomen that have been like felt unsupported and felt like they've had to lead and they're just begging their man to step up, step up. And she cheats with what I would call a red dragon. Okay, like a really alpha male. If you're interested, we can do a whole podcast on infidelity. Okay, and this is not about blame, just infidelity is a much bigger topic than we have time to dive into today. But being very honest and very trusting is a trait that can set us up for issues with sex and intimacy when the power dynamics are off, when we are in a healthy, energetically balanced relationship, giving to each other. That's a different story. But our nature is to be extremely trusting. Okay, so let's talk about the impact of these traits on intimacy. Here's the truth. These traits are incredible assets in healthy and balanced relationships. But when they are paired with unhealed trauma, yours and or your partner's, when you are stuck in patterns of overgiving, overfunctioning, people pleasing, these super traits lead to unfulfilling or even toxic dynamics. In career, you want to use these traits and you can just excel, excel, excel. This is part of why this cognitive dissonance, the difference of like, you know, my clients will approach conversations about intimacy, approach conversations about their relationship, and they're giving sandwich feedback. They're acting like they're in a boardroom. They're using the tools from their professional development and they're trying to apply it to a relationship. And it's actually the worst thing that you can do because it leads to unfulfilling or even toxic dynamics in your relationship. So, for example, how many times have you found yourself saying, "What's wrong with me? I have so much. Why can't I just be happy? I want sex. Why doesn't he desire me like I used to? It's like we're roommates. I don't know where the passion went. Maybe if I have a small accident, I can actually rest and they will be able to see how hard this is for me." And I've had more than one superwoman think that. I want you to know you are not broken. You are not alone. This is the reality for so many superwomen. You give so much of yourself that there is no space left to feel desire, connection, or pleasure. The pleasure centers in your brain are turned off. You have zero sense of sexual self or intimacy at that point. You are closed off to being given to. So even if those around you are trying, when your pleasure centers are off, your receiving centers are off, you can't receive it. And this is my specialty, helping superwomen go from high achievers to receivers. We do not want you to change who you are. You are beautiful, brilliant. Look at all the traits we just listed and look at everything you've built. So, this is not about changing who you are, but it is about learning new tools that you can implement when you choose to, so you can relax and be cared for, so you can let it all go sometimes, so you can be present and feel fully fulfilled, so full of joy, so full of pleasure, so you can have the best sex ever, so you can reconnect your relationship. Regardless of perimenopause, regardless of how long you've been in a sexless relationship, you can be well fucked into your 80s if you desire. Remember, you are not broken. What you have been taught about sex and intimacy is. And if this is you, I'm going to give you a tip for something that you can start doing today, creating space for desire. But before we do that, if this is speaking to you, if you are bulldozing your man, if you are calling the shots, if all of these traits speak to you, it's time that you head to the show notes and apply to work with me. It's time to learn a new skill set, that is going to get you the sex and intimacy that you desire, the relationship that you desire, the fulfillment, ease, and connection that you desire. You hire the best in every other area of your life. Why are you still trying to do this alone? I have 2 spaces left for my private coaching at the time that I'm recording this. So head to the show notes, apply. We're going to get on an application call and we start in January. Creating space for desire. Okay, let's talk about space. Relationships thrive on it. I believe it's Esther Perel that describes desire as the bridge, where you're building to close the space between you and your partner. But when there is no space, when you have taken over from overgiving, people pleasing, the relationship becomes a meshed, predictable routine. Desire fades and resentment builds. So, what do? We can intentionally create space. And here are a few starting points. First, reclaim your time. Take a solo trip. And if a trip is out of the question, take a solo date or day When's the last time you took yourself out? And if that is hard for you to do, it's because your pleasure centers are off. Okay. We need to set boundaries around your me time. Stop over functioning for others. Number two, shake up your routine, introduce novelty into your relationship, try something new, different kind of date, new activity, even sleep apart for a night or a week. We are intentionally creating space. Number three, reconnect with touch. Now let's skip the penetration and focus on non sexual touch. Okay. So anywhere that your underwear covers, we are not touching. Do this for 2 weeks. Rediscover what it feels like to long for each other again. So if those tips, I have two more. And if those tips are going to be hard for you, these next ones are definitely going to be hard. This is why I'm here. Head to the show notes. Apply to work with me privately. Expect the best in every area of your life. You get to have this too. A personal life that is as fulfilling as your career. The fourth tip for creating space is restoring energy balance. So, are you showing up in your masculine doing energy? Are you doing the planning, the leading, the organizing? Need to learn the tools to shift into your feminine, to create space and receive. Right? Think of sex. We open, we receive. Tip number 5, master pleasure. This one is big. So, are you a joy to give pleasure to? Or is your tank empty? Are you crusty and repellent as shit? It's hard to admit, but I mean, I've been there more times than once. And I teach this stuff. Have you mastered your body and your partner's body? Are you stuck in your head, taking off your mental to-do list, thinking of the emails that you have to send? Superwomen, you've built an extraordinary life. But if you are struggling in your relationship, it's not because you're not enough. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because your pleasure tank is empty. And the super traits that we discussed today are going to get you a lot of success in your career and make you struggle in sex and intimacy. So our work is to acknowledge this, to stop surviving on crumbs, start creating space for desire, intimacy, and joy. Remember, you deserve pleasure in and out of the bedroom. If you love this episode, please share it with another superwoman that loves to hear it. And if you have not, please write a review. Have a great week, everybody. If you like what you heard in this episode, leave me a rating. Your support helps me get discovered by more women like you. Together, we can change the conversation around women's sexual health and pleasure for you, your partners, and generations to come.